So Ramadan is here once again, and in this time of quarantine, I don't believe it could have come at a better time. I truly believe in these times we are being called to awaken on a personal level, on a global level, on a collective level. If you want to know more about my thoughts about that, head to my blog and read my latest article, COVID-19 Humanity's Awakening Shock. True change always begins with the self. And Ramadan gives us the perfect opportunity to begin that long journey into ourselves. I remember once upon a time when asked what Ramadan was and why I fast, the only response I would give to people was to know what the poor people feel like. I'd never really been told anything else, and maybe that was just like the easy response to give to somebody when they asked me horrified why I was starving myself. My relationship with Ramadan has changed every single year, as I'm sure yours has too, with the twists and turns that life brings. It took for me to almost completely lose my faith for me to find it again, but for myself this time. And it's only when that happened when I truly began to understand the deeply spiritual dimension of Ramadan. For those that don't know, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic holy calendar and is comprised of 29 to 30 days of abstaining from food, drink and other bodily needs and desires during daylight hours. This is a physical aspect of fasting, but in the absence of all those outwardly needs and desires, something truly amazing begins to happen. And you have no choice but to focus on the inner aspect of yourself. And that's where I believe our treasure truly lies. Most of the world's religions and spiritual practices prescribe some type of fasting. These fasts require the faster to give something up or to abstain from something in the name of their Lord, and ultimately to better themselves as human beings in order to bring them closer to God and closer to themselves. Intermittent fasting is now even growing really popular among those interested in self-growth and personal development because of its very many benefits. So why do Muslims fast for a whole month out of the year? Well, I see it this way. Although most human desires are completely natural, sometimes we can fall victim to these desires. In excess, as with anything, these desires can become harmful to us, our bodies, and our own spiritual growth and development, which is why the Islamic holy book, the Quran, advises us against these things. But many of us can sometimes fail to follow that advice or find it difficult to do so, and I'm a living, breathing example of that. But in Ramadan, suddenly things that are lawful to us on a day-to-day basis, such as food, drink, sexual relations with our spouses, suddenly become unlawful to us during sunlight hours. The effect of this is tremendous. We find ourselves willfully submitting to the act of abstaining from food, drink and other things during the holy month because this is what is required of us. We find ourselves saying no to normal things which are otherwise allowed to us, showing us the massive human capacity within ourselves to abstain from whatever we want, whenever we want. This just goes to show that we can say no to those things that the Quran advises us are harmful outside of the holy month. It's all about training the mind, the body, the heart, the soul and the spirit. And Ramadan gives us a perfect time to do that. Ramadan is pretty much a prescription from a doctor for us to heal. But the doctor is the Lord Almighty himself. The whole month is a healing process within itself, a way of building and cultivating self-fortitude, courage and self-belief. It's an arduous journey that begins first with the body and the external facets, but which then goes on to penetrate the inner facets of the soul, the spirit and the heart. By removing all those usual physical wants and needs, it allows the time and space to focus on the inner self. After all, we are not our bodies, our clothes or the food that we eat. We are infinite souls with such massive potential to reach a level of consciousness in our everyday lives to bring us closer to our Lord. And ultimately for me, Ramadan is a big reminder of this. Through fasting, we learn to understand our carnal selves, and by taming our physical appetite, desires and greed, we begin to pave a path which elevates us from our physical being up to the spiritual dimension of our being. And that is so beautiful. Ramadan, if done and appreciated fully, teaches patience, perseverance, gratitude and humility. It allows a fresh start to those who may have found themselves falling, and a new perspective to those who may have thought they were already on their way. Ramadan is a time of reflection, of soul nurturing, and of personal spiritual growth and development. And that's in addition to the amazing detoxing and healing that the body goes through as well. I pray that experiencing Ramadan in lockdown will truly help us to focus on becoming better human beings, and we will emerge having achieved some level of inner transformation, so that then we can begin to transform our world. The gift of Ramadan, because that is exactly what it is, a gift, stuns me to silence through its generosity and its beauty, and its perfect example of how we should try and live our lives every single day. So all of this and even more is why I fast, and for me it is a complete honour and privilege to do so. I pray Ramadan and all its lessons are something that we keep in our hearts for the rest of the year and for the rest of our lives, and not just for those 30 days out of the year. Sending peace, light and love to absolutely everybody, and wishing all those observing Ramadan a huge Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you so much for watching.